Hey guys, hey, we're out the lawnmower farm right now. This is when I did the walk around of the farm a couple videos back. This is one of the mowers I was talking about. A few years back, I ended up doing a refurb on this mower. I had some friends that were moving out of town. They wanted a good mower to take with them. I thought this was going to be it. Unfortunately, right at the very end, the carburetor was acting up. They were moving and everything, and time ran out, so I had a couple mowers listed on Marketplace. I pulled one of the listings, just gave one of them. Anyway, as you can see, it's been sitting around a while, but we got a freshly painted block and everything. This was an awesome running engine, other than at the end the carburetor issue. Anyway, I got one up at the garage where the customer, I actually sold him a engine last year, and for some odd reason something in it went bad. I don't know what yet, but I'm gonna honor that, and we're gonna take this one back off this deck, bring it up there, clean it up a little bit, oil down the cylinder, and get him up and running again. So we'll be back shortly. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this, and we'll see you back at the garage. Alright guys, so we've got this motor sitting on a bench. We're gonna go ahead and we gotta give it a little preparation. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna pop the spark plug out of there. And I honestly don't know if this is the one that actually was running in it at the time. I could very well switch it out. Yeah, plug don't look very good at all, but we'll can that. Anyway, I have to wait for a bail cable for the mower itself to come in. So what I'm gonna do for the time being, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in the thing. Yeah, of course this one don't fit. We're gonna dump some, where is it? Right here. Put a little Marvel in there. What I'm gonna do while this engine's waiting to get transformed to the new mower and everything, I'm gonna dump a little bit of this in the cylinder and let it sit, let it soak in. What that's gonna do, that's gonna free up any rings, any corrosion, all that stuff. It will help it. People are gonna tell you this stuff's snake oil and everything. I'm telling you right now, it's not. This stuff works. So I'm gonna do that, and then in the next clip we'll get going on an actual mower itself. So stay tuned. Hi, and welcome back to Everybody's Garage. Today we're gonna be starting on this little project here. This is actually a 2003 MTD. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to call it a comeback because that's exactly what it is. In the previous clips, I showed a new engine is going to be going on this mower. It is what it is. I mean, the guy that owns this thing is really cool, and it's just what it is. I put this engine on this mower last year. Ran great for a few mows, and next thing you know, it's using oil. The guy says basically for every tank full of gas, you have to refill the oil. So it is what it is, but it's not at the end of the world and everything. I think I know what's wrong with this engine, but we're not going to get into that part right now. What we're going to do right now, we're going to take care of this thing. We're going to get it back up on the lawn with a new engine, and go from there with it. I'll give you a real quick walk around here, because what I'm going to be doing here, well, I'm going to be changing the engine obviously, but anyway, you can see, I mean, it's dusty and everything sitting, but we have oil blowing out the valve cover, which was sealed and everything. it was smoking quite a bit. I see the muffler is about ready to fall off of there. We're gonna have to fix that while we're at it. One thing I noticed too, when I did this last year, I was in a hurry and everything. So we're gonna pop this plastic piece off of here, but the metal part, we're gonna add and repaint that real quick. And you can see where it was pumping oil out of the breather and everything. This was all clean last year. I actually rebuilt this carburetor last year. So we're gonna take care of it. Carburetor and gas tank should be good. We gotta clean them up and everything. But yeah, we're gonna make a new mower out of this one with a good engine, and hopefully go, make them a good mower. So for right now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna gut this engine off of here and take it apart and start getting some of the things ready, and then I'm gonna bring you back in. We're gonna clean this deck off while we're at it. Now, when I did this mower last year, it was like mid-season. I was going crazy and everything, so I didn't get to give it my full attention. But this time we're gonna do that. So stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly. So I'm kind of curious what kind of shine we can get out of this deck. As you can see in the first video, it was pretty dull and everything. It is a 2003 lawnmower. The paint's not that great. It's missing some spots and whatnot. But let's just see what we can get out of this thing, just using a simple practice. So right now, I got baking soda on there. It's been sitting a little bit, and we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna spruce it with water a little bit, and then we're gonna go ahead with my little homemade cleaner tool there. So hold on a second, we'll go ahead and do that. I'm gonna have to set you back here for a little bit because I don't have my tripod with me at the moment, but we'll go like so. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little spritz of water, see what happens. And then we'll grab my little sponge thing here. Let's see what this thing looks like. I got nothing to lose right now. This thing doesn't spin anywhere near as fast as a regular buffer was. And of course the battery's going dead in this drill. It's probably helping that again. There goes our battery. It never fails. But let's we'll just wipe it down and see what it actually looks like. Yeah, I see some paint coming up through here. Now this obviously won't matter until tomorrow when the paint's dry, but yeah, I see some yeah, it's definitely, it's pulling up some of that. It's still dull, obviously, but once we put the polish on there, hopefully that'll cure up some of it. And on this side, we're gonna let this stuff still work in for a little bit. while I charge the battery, because some idiot forgot to charge it first, but we'll go from there with it. Alright, so I've been playing around with this deck. I mean, I got the paint looking pretty decent. I mean, we're talking a 21-year-old lawnmower. It's not bad. But this side over here, I just can't get the oxidation out of it. I'm going to go ahead and let this this compound sit on it overnight, and then we're going to try it again. See what happens. Like I said, we had nothing to lose here. But, I mean, just for the sake of science, let's try it out and see what happens with it. So we'll give you an update tomorrow on it. Alright guys, rather than doing 100 hours of filming on paint and blah blah blah, figured I'd show you the end result here. This is after a couple coats of wax and compound and whatnot. I tell you right now, for a 21-year-old lawnmower, I'm saying she's looking pretty snazzy. We got unfortunately, I don't have any red paint here, but I'm pretty sure the guy that owns it does, so he might be able to touch that up after, and, you know, but I went ahead and, of course, I greased up the axle shafts, cleaned them and everything. The front wheels had a bunch of slop in them. I had actually showed him that, and I've had this set of black wheels that they're a lot tighter than the originals were, so I went ahead and put them on there. He's cool with it. The original wheels for this thing, I may be able to do that deal with shimming it with the thing. I'm gonna look into that after, and I told him if I can, I will, you know, we'll go and put them back on there. But, you know, and the main reason I'm doing what I'm doing, this gentleman is approximately my age, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger, whatever. This guy knows what he has. He knows exactly what this mower is. Rather than, you know, he knows he's not gonna get on the Lowe's and, you know, buy the same mower dirt cheap. It's not gonna happen. They don't make them like this anymore. So anyway, the on the shroud there, chute rather, there's a product called Back to Black or something like that, which I will show later in a video, because I'm going to do it on some of the plastic on the engine. But anyway, for right now, I just wanted to show you that. We're looking pretty good here, and I will be back shortly. Like I said, I took the original engine off this mower apart. I got some parts being painted and whatnot, and then we're going to come back in. We're going to tear that new engine that I got. We're going to tear that down, start switching pieces over, and we'll get this thing ready to go. So we'll be back shortly. Alright guys, so let's get going on this tear down here. This is getting a little long here. Anyway, here is the carburetor and the spark plug that come off the engine, that come off of that mower. I just want to show you our spark plug is heavily fouled. We got oil all over the place. And also with the carburetor, you can see how dark it is in there. That thing, basically you got your breather coming through here. What this thing's been doing is just pumping oil through the throat of the carburetor, and it's no good. I hate this for this engine, because that was a great running engine. But, you know, like I said, we're going to do whatever we got to do. This is the air filter that come off of the mower. I get a little more cleaning to do, but for the most part, it's a pretty clean filter. So, basically, what I'm obviously going to be cleaning this carburetor up in a little bit, and the diaphragm and the primer and everything, that's all brand new. Well, it was brand new last year. I'm going to go ahead and leave that like that. Obviously, I'm going to clean all this mess up and everything. And we're going to go from there with it. But we have... I had a nice painted up pull starter. The thing. The cover there. Some pull starter bolts. We even got a nice shiny aluminum breather tube. You're not going to see that, but we know it's nice and clean now. I mean, we got to get this mower looking good. She's just, I love it. So, Anyway, give me a second here. Here's the engine that I pulled off of the mower at the farm. Give me a second here. We're gonna go ahead and strip this thing down and we're gonna go from there with it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and gut this thing down. So, this is the engine that comes from the mower at the farm. Unfortunately, I think I sold the actual the breather itself, but we got all sorts of garbage in here. I think we're gonna find that we got a mouse nest in here. We're gonna find that out in just a minute. Unfortunately, the weather in Kentucky changes about every 10 seconds. So we had 70 and sunny, and next thing you know, now it's 50 and rainy. So let's go ahead and pop this pole cover up here for now. Get that one. There we go. Alright, so we got that one out of there. Let's see what we got here, because I think we got some type of, yeah. I thought we had a nest in there. So, we're going to have a little talk with the snakes up at the farm. We got, we have, what's called rat snakes or black snakes or whatever. These things are about between 5 and 7 feet long. And I'll tell you what, I don't like snakes whatsoever, but they do a job out there. And, as far as mice and stuff, if you go out behind the garage out at the farm, all that tall grass and everything, there is no problems whatsoever with this kind of stuff with mowers. The mice don't get into them because the snakes eat them. But this particular engine was sitting out in the front in my little holding pen thing here, which maybe the snakes didn't realize it was there. So I'm not sure. We're going to have to work on them. I'll have a little chat with them about that. Maybe throw some cheeseburgers out there or something. Maybe they'll figure it out. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, we got a little mouse nest here. But that's alright though. I'm going to let them slide this time, maybe because they just don't know. But alright, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this coil. And I still have not fixed the stupid Stanley ratchet yet either, so it don't ratchet just yet. Someday. I'm not going to bother with the flywheel key on this engine just because of the fact that I know it's good. I put this engine together a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, as I said in other videos and everything, I can't keep track of this stuff. But luckily on this particular engine, I was able to, I was going back through some videos and whatnot, and what happened was that I found out I did in fact do a valve job on this engine. So, I was looking at this thing when I pulled the spark plug to check the thing when I was gonna go ahead and when I was putting oil in the cylinder, where it'd been sitting and whatnot and everything. And sure enough, I went back through the videos, and I wasn't doing videos at this time, but I was doing pictures and stuff on Facebook, and I did in fact do a valid job on this engine, so I am more than happy with that. Alright, so we're gonna have to blow all this nonsense out of here afterwards, but go ahead and pull this carburetor off real quick. I actually had this engine set up without a blade brake. I had an actual throttle on it, and we're getting rid of that. We're gonna go back with a blade brake because the gentleman that owns this mower, the bail cable was bad on that mower last year. It was on its way out and everything, and I had spoke with him, and he was happy to go ahead and buy a new cable for it. So we're gonna go ahead and put the blade brake back on that thing where it belongs. Alright. That carburetor, that was the only thing holding this engine back, and I actually know what's going on with it. So I will be addressing that in the near future. I'll actually do a video on that. So we're gonna go ahead and take this throttle plate off of here, because this is something that's going on something else anyway. We're gonna put his original throttle plate back on here. And of course, that's going to go through that whole, we'll deal with that in a little bit. That's pretty much it for this. I need to clean this engine up a little bit, get some of the rust off the flywheel and whatnot, and this thing's ready to go. I am going to clean it up. I am going to give it another shot of paint before we start putting the new pieces on it. Obviously, I gotta clean all the freaking mouse junk out of there. But we got a good engine sitting here, I hope. So stay tuned, and we will up next, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clean this engine off a little bit, and then we're going to zap it back together with the new pieces, and we're going to go from there with it. Alright guys, so let's get going back on this thing. Here is your, well, semi-finished product anyway. I ended up by, I just repainted the block and everything. That wasn't a big deal. I didn't bother filming it. But I threw it back on the deck. I figured it'd be just as easy to finish it up on here. But, we gotta go ahead and get this coil mounted up, and get the carburetor on there. So I'm gonna set you right here. And hopefully that'll yeah, that should be all right. So we gotta get the coil mounted up. So you got your little kill wire that we gotta get plugged in there. Like so. Alright, so now you're not going to go in, right? So there's that. Now we got your little, take these 2 bolts. I always put never sees on these bolts. I'm going to go ahead and get that one in. Then we'll go ahead and get your, we're going to put the governor in place. And I'd mentioned this in a previous video. Still to this day don't understand why they got rid of this governor style. Because it's so simple that it's pathetic. But yet it works perfect. And they decided to get rid of it. And it's not like it was only a couple year thing. They did it from the 50s up until I think it was 2005 maybe, something to that effect. And it worked perfect every time, but now, you know, all of a sudden they discontinued it, and they went to an internal governor in the block, and then they ended up only running the engine another 2 or 3 years, and they discontinued the engine to go over to the E series. So that's always going to be a mystery to me. But oh, I forgot to show you. This is just a little thing. It's about the thickness of a driver's license. That's how we're going to gap the coil on this one. Go ahead and you're going to set that in between the coil and the flywheel. Turn your thing so the magnets hit it. Like so. If you notice, you got your magnets are pulling. We're going to go ahead and zap it down. And tomorrow I am going to call Stanley and figure out the deal with this ratchet, because I am tired of messing with it. It's supposedly a free replacement. It's a matter of calling them and asking them about it or something. I don't know. But I am going to sit down and actually do that, because this thing's a pain. So you're just going to snug those things down. That's that. Pull your little card thing out, and we have a gapped coil. The factory gap on this thing's about 20 thousandths, but you know, this is very close to that. Close enough for me anyway. All right. So got that coil. All right. Kill switch is in there good. Go ahead and hook up our thing to the spark plug. All right, we have one complete ignition system. Got everything back here on the blade brake. I got the wire all plugged in and everything. I have the blade brake held open right now just so it would be easier to spin. But you notice we got a brand new cable going for the blade brake. Look at that zip tie, huh? Yeah, that's my certification shining through right there. But, all right, so now it's time to go ahead and get this carburetor done. Now, one thing I wanted to show on this particular carburetor, all right, so this is the old, the deal with the primer bulb and everything. They call it a pulsar jet, I believe. On this one here, you want to notice on the tank, I just go ahead and clean them up to bare aluminum. You can paint these things and everything, but as soon as you spill gas on them, the paint just falls off anyway. So I personally think this looks better anyway. So, but this is the same thing as the E-Series carburetor. It's got an actual O-ring and a little plastic clip that holds it in place. All right. So, Your O-ring's gonna go into the end there, like so. Trying my best to film this good, but. And then your little plastic clip, you're just gonna kind of pop it in place, like so. Now, often what happens when you take this thing off the intake, that the O-ring and the clip will come off and it'll stay on the intake. And when that happens, then you're not getting your you know, if you put it back on like that, you're not going to get your seal. So you always want to check that. And we're also going to go ahead and give this thing a little quick layer of grease. This is something I always do just to help them when they're sliding on there. All right. That should be good. Right about there. All right. So, now that's all said and done. You got the little, the Z. There we go. Call it Z fitting or Z something. We gotta get that into the throttle, like such. Pull that back. And then we gotta get everything all lined up at the same time with your breather tube, your intake and everything. And there you have it. And we got something binding here, but I don't know what. Wonderful. All right, we got something binding up on this thing here. I have to check that real quick. Give me 1 second and I will be back. All right, guys, that was totally my bad. I had 2 different governors, 2 different governor bolts, and I mismatched them, unfortunately. But this is how you want your governor to swing. All right, nice and free like such. Now, this mower actually had an option. Now, today's mowers, you know, you notice you start them and they run the same speed all the time. This mower is one of the last of the Mohegans. It actually had an option where it would actually run high and low. So you're gonna go ahead and pull your thing over like such. That's gonna give you your heavy spring tension. Then you put it back like that, and that's gonna weaken it up some. So that's gonna give you a little lower throttle. So you want this governor swinging as free as it can at all times. The main issue with these is sometimes, well, when I first took that one engine apart, it had a mouse nest in here. The mouse nest would hold the governor so it wouldn't move, and you'd either have, you know, it's stuck wide open or at low and everything. But like I said, that deal was there for over 50 years, and all of a sudden they changed it for some apparent reason, and then that was the end of it. But as far as I'm concerned, I think every engine should be run with this particular governor. All it does is it runs off the flywheel. You got your fan here going, and that's what regulates the speed of it. And right here where the spring attaches to the throttle plate, you can actually adjust this with a pair of pliers. If you want this thing to run a little bit faster, tweak it out a little. You know, and it's just the best setup ever. But they decided that it's not for some odd reason. So, all right, enough of that. Let's go ahead and so now we got this carburetor back on here. We got our throttle deal working correctly. We got a bolt here that's got to go on. That's going to be a little 3/8. Go ahead and get that on there. There we go. Yeah, I'll never understand why they took that setup away, but someday maybe I'll figure it out. Alright, there's that. Now you got your little, this is kind of a deflector plate, but it's also a spacer between the carburetor and the block. It's got to be in there. Go ahead and put that in there. Yeah, these little plates are important because they actually hold the, it's part of for the air circulation. So they gotta be in place. You see a lot of videos where people running engines without the cover on them. That's not good. Don't do that, please. That's an excellent way to ruin an engine. This fan's here for a reason. It's going to circulate air throughout. This is called an air-cooled engine. And without the air cooled, well, it overheats in a real short order and will fry itself. Cook the rings right out of it. Snug it up like such. And there we go. So you're gonna, so you got this right here. Your pull cover is gonna slide over that, and there's also one on this side, the same thing. It's gonna suck air in through over here, circulate it around, shoot it down the block and out by the muffler. All there is to it. And that's why I'm always going off about, you have to have this clean, because you cannot have all this dirt and stuff in here. It starts blocking flow, and next thing you know, you got a cooked engine. Alright, so now it's time for our pull starter. Did give it a little coat of paint, just kind of make it look pretty. I mean, this mower is not going to be a showstopper by any means, but I'm still saying for something as old as it is, it's not all that bad. There we go. Got 3/8 bolts on that. There we go. There we go. There she goes. Maybe. Got it that time. Yeah, there she goes. Yeah, maybe not. Alright. Well, give me a minute to wrestle with this thing. These things are always a pain. But anyway, that's pretty much what we got going on here. I got to do that, the air breather, put the cover back in a blade brake. We're going to put some gas and oil in this thing, and then we're going to take it out in the driveway and fire it off. So stay tuned for a couple minutes and we'll be right back. Hey guys, figured I'd show you the finished product here. Like I said, it's no showstopper by any means, but for a 21-year-old mower, we got it looking pretty good. Unfortunately, we have one setback on this mower. I have a little surge in the carburetor, and I cannot get it out. I've actually taken it apart, replaced the diaphragm again and everything, and I told the guy, I said, what I think's going on here, I think we have a crack somewhere in the carburetor. Now, normally, you know, if there was nothing going on, you know, I'd grab another carburetor out of the pile and try it, and try another one, and, you know, until I can get it right. But at this point, I have too many mowers I'm backed up with, so I told him for the time being, run it like it is, and we can either get a new carburetor from Amazon after, or, you know, we can bring it back one day when I got the, you know, an afternoon to spend with it. But anyway, but there's the mower itself. I'm gonna start it for you real quick. On low speed, it runs good. You turn it up to high and you're gonna have a surge to it, and it does kind of go away after a while. So I don't know, it possibly could clear itself, but I really tend to think it's carburetor related. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and set you over here. There we go, that should be good. But yeah, here's on low speed, and then in a second I'll turn it up to high speed for you. Like it's trying to clear itself, but like I said, I think we have a crack in this carburetor. So anyway, that's the best I can give you for right now for this week. I just want to get this video out and everything. I will give you an update on this mower once we go further with it, but for the time being, you can see the grass is growing around here and he needs to mow, so we're gonna run it like such for right now, and we will be back with it and we'll go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we got plenty more coming because I have jobs lined up the alley up here. So thank you very much for viewing.